Previously on D&D. After
He's like, shit, I gotta
just
remember.
a second, there's a wolf in the distance because my phone is going off.
You hear the wolves howling in the mists beyond.
I mean, we are by the mountains.
The mournful cry of the wolves.
Alrighty. Previously on D&D, we returned. Or did we return? We found ourselves sitting at a banquet table within the, I want to say priory, but that's probably not the right place. But the monastery? I don't know.
Monastery.
The place that the priests live at, that we had been working for to help clear the wolves from the area. And when we told the father about this, he was very disturbed that high of magic could actually work inside of sanctified ground, and told us a few places that we could look. We followed up on some of these leads. We went into town and the marketplace and checked up not only on the rumors and the rumor mill, but also on what was going on around the general town area. And from rumors of war in Waterdeep and uprisings to the sandy east and to the south, we found out there was also an old legend, the tale of tales, that is told to the children of the children of the children of an old valley 2 valleys up that's old and abandoned now, but had like some sort of wreck inside of it that may or may not have been ruled by a vampire at some point. But now we have these towns, and we have met with the traveling people and their matron mother, who gave us a small seeing of our own selves and future, as well as, and then the majority of us returned to the monastery priory, and a couple stayed in the library, a few went to get their things packed, and our dwarf, I'm sorry, I can't remember your class. Our dwarf stayed with the traveling people to hear their tales and walk among them. Now, presumably, is there anything I have missed in my previously on D&D?
That's a fair recap.
You wanted to stay there researching things, and everybody else wanted to go back to the thing before the night was done.
They can
Yeah,
do that.
I wanted to go around the fire and get more info. And everyone else went to go talk to the priest to see if the father of the monastery and see if he had uncovered anything in his findings.
We got told the mists are a prison.
Yes.
And you got told to bring a compass.
But
I
the
did!
Compass, when we found out the compass is an artifact, not an actual, just generic compass.
Mm-hmm.
Still have Brennan.
All right. Good recap. So, where we ended last session, then, if I'm not mistaken, most of you were going to bed. Fiona was going to continue staying up all night in the library, researching
Researching the mists and the prison of the Shadowfell.
Okay.
The Shadowfell.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Also, if I run across them, vampires. But primarily focusing on the Shadowfell. Just in case, because that was spooky.
So you're going to attempt to pull a college all-nighter when you've got to leave first thing in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're going to take 1 level of exhaustion if you do that.
I never said I was smart.
All right. It's long as everyone's aware of that.
Maybe after this.
Okay. So, the night for most of you passes uneventfully. Grace, you spend the time with the traveling people. You don't really get any more, like, concrete information as the night passes on about the area you're going to. They're telling a lot of tales, but it's never quite clear where exactly the story that they're telling originated. They like to tell stories around the campfire, whether they be ghost stories, whether they be adventures, whatever it is. Fiona, you are going to research. And then as far as Jareth and Ziara go, unless you two say otherwise, you just went to bed.
Well, I was going to go back to where the everybody else was, or the dwarf and everybody that we'll be traveling with, because I don't want to miss any of that.
Okay.
Also, party.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, totally. You're able to start making your way back down to the caravan then. Brenna, is Ziara going to stay up at the monastery, or is she going to go back down?
I'm going to stay at the monastery.
Okay. And then, Courtney, what is Sakara going to do?
Staying at the monastery.
Okay.
So, did we plan that we were going to come back to this town after going up to that hill, or were we going to grab all our stuff that was at the monastery in the rooms, assuming anything was left there?
Well, that's
Grab
why we.
everything.
Okay, so
I'm assuming since you stayed back, one of us would have grabbed your stuff.
yeah. Cool. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page on where all the stuff's going to be.
Okay. All right, so then as we go forward with this, Jareth, you are a man alone as you make your way back to the caravan.
It happens. Okay. Well, let's see here. So that's down the hill, through the town again, and then back to the caravan?
Yep.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Your travel is relatively uneventful. You do note that as you're kind of going out that there seems to be a light fog that's rising up as the temperature drops. And that by the time you get to the caravan that there is a light fog, low ground fog kind of covering the area outside the caravans. It seems to stop at the edge of the caravan though by the time you get there.
Is it like making a ring around the caravan?
Yeah, it seems to be.
That's kind of ominous. Okay, fair enough. I have been warned.
Okay, you make it to the caravan uneventfully. Your companions who are staying back at the monastery, Sakara and Ziara, you're just gonna go to bed, right?
Yeah.
I was just packing all my stuff and then going to bed.
Okay.
So leave first thing in the morning.
Shayla, roll. What?
Roll what?
Sorry, there was feedback and everything just kind of got weird for a second. Shayla, roll an intelligence check. You're studying. You're looking for stuff.
I'm aware. Let's do this.
If you have a skill that you think appropriately fits, feel free to call it out.
I do.
Yeah.
8.
Alright, so you spend a fruitless night in the monastery looking through tomes. What languages do you read?
I speak Common and Orcish.
Okay.
That's it.
Also, your camera is acting real funny. You need to probably adjust it so it's actually focused on your face.
Behave. Okay.
It's not, but okay. So yeah, you spend a night trying to find any information you can about all of the things you list, and other than finding some books of like mythologies and whatnot, you really don't find anything concerning like the area that you guys are planning on going to, the Shadowfell. Like the stuff you find on the Shadowfell is stuff that people tell children, like they're fables. You know, you find a poem of the Raven Queen in one book, but how much that's actually accurate and how much is fanciful is really difficult to tell. You find sections about dark duplicates. Again, is this a story of fable or is it reality? You don't find any accounts of people who have actually been to the Shadowfell as you're kind of searching through the tomes. And as you look for things concerning vampires, you find references to vampires. You even find a book that, like, chronicles the genealogy of vampires, right? Is what it claims. But again, it's written more as, like, this is a treatise on the myth of the vampire, not necessarily, like, legitimate scholarly research into the actual creatures.
Dang it, why is all of this folklore?
The interesting points that you pull out of the vampire genealogy thing is that vampires have been around for millennia, possibly longer, and that the first vampire is unknown, but here are names of interesting, like, vampires who have lived. Again, none of them necessarily make any sense to you. If you want to try and, like, see if you know any of those names, you may roll for them.
I do want to do that. Seven.
Nope.
I just am not learned on the spooky stuff, dang it.
The best you get out of that book is just kind of information basically saying there are several different origin myths of the vampire. None of the names that are in the books actually have any meaning to you whatsoever. And the origin myths go anywhere from, oh yes, the dark god of liches created them as servants, to some Cthulhuid monster-like thing, some elder entity created them in a peak of spite to plague the mortals, and then another one that is a tragedy story of a man who desired his brother's wife and killed his brother in so becoming a vampire. Like,
Okay.
any of them are valid, but none of them are really helpful.
I look up at the lantern dragonette and I'm like, man, there's a lot of nothing in here, but I appreciate all of it. I don't know what to do with any of this. What do scholars do with this kind of stuff?
The dragonette who was curled up like a cat on a book. What? What?
Our connection.
Our connection.
Oh, your connection's going bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay now, but it, like, got really funky there for a second.
We missed everything Shayla said.
I said, I look up at the lantern dragonette and ask it what a real scholar would do with this.
So it's curled up on like a stack of books that don't quite reach the top of the bookshelf. It's just kind of laying on them, and as you ask that, it kind of opens one eye, glows a little bit, and looks down at you and goes, well, first they kind of have an idea of what they're actually looking for. Then they sort through what's fiction and what's fact. And if they can't find any fact, they go through the fiction and try to parse out what seems to be the similarities.
Oh. Okay. So most of this is folklore. Are there any other heavier books on the Shadowfell or vampires in this library?
It kind of like blinks for a second, looks around, like looks up, stretches its neck, and goes, I mean, no?
Hmm. Darn.
But it like points with its snout at the books on your table. I mean, that folklore usually has something in it. Like, there's always a grain of truth in every story, right?
Right. So the grain of truth in all of these is dark, spooky, and there are vampires. And also that the Shadowfell is dark and spooky.
I mean, yeah, it's a dark mirror of our world. Of course it's dark and spooky.
What's a dark duplicate?
It kind of cocks its head and goes, like, what do you mean?
I don't know. It was referenced here in this story that there are like dark duplicates. Is that like a shadow version of yourself, or is that like a spell that makes you duplicated?
It sighs and jumps off the shelf, lands on the thing, and goes, "Where's the page? Show me the page. Come on, show me the page."
74. Right here.
Okay. It starts reading it and goes, based off what this is saying, I would assume that this is like an actual, like, thing. Like a person.
A person.
Like, you know how you look in a piece of mirrored silver, right? And you see your reflection?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it's saying is happening here.
Wait, it's saying that your reflection is alive?
That's a way to interpret that, I guess.
How do you interpret it?
What I think it's saying, emphasis on think,
Understood.
is that it looks like it's trying to say that because the Shadowfell is a mirror of our world, a dark version of us lives in that world. So there would be a dark version of this monastery where you and I are having this conversation there. Only we're evil.
Evil? So like evil twins?
Yes, but again, keep in mind this is a folklore thing. While there might be a grain of truth in here somewhere, like maybe we do have duplicates there, the evil facet may be being played up a lot.
Okay, so while it might be evil, it might just be dark because it's like so far for the sun to get through the mirror to bounce off and see, so we can see our other self.
You are taking that mirror analogy way further than I intended it to, but sure, yeah.
Okay. Dark mirror self might be evil, might be sun deprived. Okay, I get it. Could be truth in there. I like it. Okay. Any more of these? I like flip through and go to the poem of the Raven Queen. She's spooky, right?
Yes?
Does she have like an encore of ravens follow her all the time?
Looks at the page, looks up.
I mean, this part, it seems to say like something about dark feathers and something happening. It could be something.
It sighs, it sits there for a second, and it like, you know how you see dragon statues in like the mall, like the dragon statues where they're like on one foot and like it takes up that pose for a second. Like just randomly, it just sits on the table and takes up that pose and just and sits there. Its eyes glaze over, kind of like a snake when it's shedding, and it just sits there for a second.
Do you have two eyelids like a lizard?
You see its chest start to get a little brighter, and then it dims back down, and it kind of drops out of the pose. Well, consulting the memory banks, the Raven Queen is an actual figure. I think this is being metaphorical about the birds, or maybe it's not.
Darn.
It might not be.
Okay.
But it might be an allegory for something else. I think it might be an allegory for something else.
Okay, so it might be an allegory of her dark wings encompassing a group. That might literally be ravens running around as her entourage, or it could be like What, like spies or something?
Elves specifically.
Elves, elf spies. Okay, elf spies. I'll keep an eye out for elves.
Yeah, you know how the drow are technically not the same thing as the wood elves, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Apparently, she has a branch that's also similar to the drow, but not the drow.
Ooh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what the memories are saying. So,
Huh.
Drow, but not drow.
now none of my bloodline have been in the Shadowfell in a really, 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 really long time. So everything there's kind of foggy. Sorry.
Understandable. It is a spooky place, apparently.
Yeah, those images didn't look pleasant.
So somewhere back in your bloodline, there are memories from bloodline members that did go to the Shadowfell, but like long ago.
Oh yeah,
Or
totally.
something?
My kind are often contracted as familiars for wizards. Like, my bloodline has been in a lot of places. If you want to know about the celestial realms, I can tell you about those a little more easily. That was a lot more recent, but
Ooh, cool.
the Shadowfell is one of those places people don't usually willingly go.
How do you become a familiar of someone?
It usually involves a contract, magical binding contract with a wizard. Or
Does
someone
it have to be a wizard?
you generally need to be able to use magic in order to write up the contract, yeah.
Could it be a different type of magic user?
Yeah. I mean, one of my ancestors was bonded to a sorcerer. I had another one who was bonded to a warlock. That guy was creepy. But generally speaking, it's wizards.
Are you perhaps bonded to someone already here?
Nope.
Would you like to update the memory banks potentially?
Are you offering to drag my sorry butt to the Shadowfell? Because if that's the case, no. I really don't want to go.
I'm offering you to come up to the mountains where we may or may not be dragged to the Shadowfell to fight a war that two of my companions have apparently already done in another life.
Everything
would
you're
all be
saying
good.
is concerning.
I mean, I recognize that. I'm not trying to trick you into something. I want you to know the dangers, but I am inviting you to come with me.
Again, everything you're saying is concerning. Shayla, DM to player.
I can pay you in candles.
DM to player, do you actually have access to the Find Familiar spell? Because you're a cleric, aren't you?
The what? Oh.
Find familiar.
Give me a moment, or maybe go look at other people while I look it up.
Okay. Yeah. So, you were the only person that was really going to have a lot of interaction prior to morning.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I am hurrying.
Yeah, unless your class gives it to you, Find Familiar is specifically a wizard spell.
Okay. Second, I need to roll something for my character and how she understands that interpretation.
Oh boy.
That's a familiar number at this point. Well, I can't, per se, make a familiar binding contract myself. But if you came with us, then you could update the things. I would pay you. I would be not. I mean, wizards like spookily look through your eyes when you're familiar, right? I wouldn't be doing that unless you wanted to, and then I'd figure out a way, I guess. But I would be employing you, not making you a familiar. If you were down, which I would really like you to come with us.
Its little head kind of turns and gives you the side eye. And you want to pay me in wax.
grins. If you prefer something else, we can make a deal, make an arrangement.
It sits back on its haunches for a second. Are these guys wyverns or are they actually true dragons? I don't even remember.
They have 6 limbs.
Do they have 6 limbs? Okay, yeah. So he's sitting back.
Has any of your bloodline been an employee?
It sighs and it goes, "Give me a minute."
New experience.
It takes up the weird pose again, as if it's like turning into a statue. And just sits there for a second. Just sits.
While it's sitting there, I pull out a candle and just kind of like hold it like this.
What'd you say, Brenna?
This is all with a 6-foot orc.
6'7".
All right.
I am an enormous orc who's very good at thinking she's very small because she was the smallest in her tribe. Clearly, she is tiny.
It snaps back out and it looks at you and goes, "Yeah, sure." The boss doesn't seem to have a problem with it.
Oh, you have a boss? That's cool.
It cocks its head. Yeah, all dragons have a boss, of course.
Bahuma boss?
I am not
That
at
was
liberty
terrible.
to disclose any information about the boss.
Yeah, fair enough. So you would be willing to come?
Yeah, let's hope this doesn't take forever.
Okay.
He jumps up and kind of flaps off for a second and goes, "I'm gonna go tell the father. I'll be back.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't leave without me."
I won't. I need to use all of my gold to buy as much wax as possible. I go down to the Priory's like supplies area and kind of like a little bit rudely probably, but like very enthusiastically wake up the person who is like in charge of maintaining the area. The custodian basically. And I'm like, hey, how much wax do you guys have on hand?
Yeah, you're able to buy 5 gold worth of wax off of them. I'm just gonna throw that out there so that we can move on.
Good. All done. Check. Adding it to inventory.
Okay. So while she's doing that, Jareth and Gris, you are at the caravan. Things start to settle down a couple hours after sunset because they do intend to leave early in the morning. But they invite you to stay by one of the fires that's going to remain lit throughout the night, and you see one of the things that they do as kind of a ritual at night, where they leave one fire in the center of camp burning, and they pile more long burning logs on it at night, and then they take, each one of them takes like a stick from the fire and goes and lights lantern poles on the edge of their camp. And that's kind of their like nightly ritual before everybody starts turning in. Like that's the last thing some of them do before the guards are the only people left. Like the watch. This is the last thing that like the leaders of the caravan do before they go to bed. And then with that is
Is the mist still forming a ring around the caravan?
yes, it still seems to be.
Can I ask one of the watch? Does it do that often?
So you ask one of the watchmen, and he kind of looks like he's sitting on like the front of a wagon, like the driver's seat of a wagon that's on one of the edge areas, and he looks out at the mist, and he looks back at you and goes, "Yeah, no, that's pretty common. Supposedly, and I'm not a wizard, so I don't know. The lamps are warded to keep the mists out."
Good call. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got nothing else for the night.
Okay.
I'm ready to turn in.
Okay.
I'm probably stumbling a little bit too because I've been drinking their
Totally fair.
alcohol.
All right. So, the morning rolls around. Your little lantern dragonette friend shows back up. Fiona.
There's a large bag hanging off the back of my backpack.
Yeah, he shows back up and goes, "Hey, yeah, it's getting to the point where you're gonna need to get your friends, and we're gonna need to get out of here if you're gonna catch that caravan you guys were talking about last night."
Yeah. I was just waiting for you. Okay.
You know,
Is everything okay with you?
Yep.
You need anything?
I told the father I'm good. I can survive off wax and anything we hunt, and my nest is taken care of for the time being.
Okay.
Assuming we're not gone for like a year.
We'll try not to be.
I would like to come back. Thank you.
Yes. That is the goal.
Okay.
Awesome. I go and like double check and see where Ziara and Sakara are.
You find them in their rooms. You guys would also probably be getting up at about this time.
Good morning, rise and shine. The sun's not up, but we should be. Let's go.
You do have a level of exhaustion, Shayla.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm in the giddy stage.
Okay.
That's how I interpret it, at least.
All right, so you guys start heading back down the monastery ramparts, or not the monastery ramparts, the switchbacks down to the village. Yes. Okay. So as they're making their way there, Jareth, Grizz, the traveling people are beginning to break camp. The matron mother comes out of her wagon fairly early on, pounds a stick on the side of the caravan, and calls out "up and ready" 3 times. Seems like there's some sort of ceremonial significance to this, and then you start hearing people clattering around getting ready. They take some stuff over to the bonfire that was lit all night, which is still smoldering, and start cooking small meals, and then they're starting to saddle up horses, getting them fed, getting them watered, and getting everything ready.
All right, well, if anything's going on, I'm walking around trying to see if anybody needs help with anything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming they don't, but I'll offer help if they need it.
They won't say no. If you offer help somewhere, they'll give you something to do, whether that be to feed the horses, whether that be to make sure stuff is tied down to the wagons properly. Like, they will give you things to do. They always appreciate help.
All right, well, assuming my character's smart enough and good enough at doing that, then...
Yeah. I would assume you've handled stuff like this before, so shouldn't be new to you.
I'll be doing the same, asking if I can assist anyway.
Yep. So, same idea. They give you jobs, and as you guys are kind of walking around, you note that, again, there is a fog. Like, the morning fog is surrounding everything around outside the camp, but there is no fog in the camp. As for the 3 of you coming down from the switchbacks, you see that there is a thick fog that's laying over the town, but because you're a little higher up on the monastery, it doesn't quite get to where you guys are when you leave, but you quickly walk into it.
Can I detect magic and see if the fog is magic at all, or would I just pick up on the lanterns? Like, I do that, detect magic. Like, what's out there?
Totally. That's totally fine. So as you detect magic, the lanterns are definitely abjuration magic. Like, they're abjuring something. As far as the mists itself, and the fog that's out there, you get this vague sense that something's magical with them, but they're not, like, screaming bright red, like, magic here, magic here. It's a 30-foot radius spell, right? Yeah. So as you have it up for the 10 minutes of its duration and you're walking around, you're seeing that there's definitely something consistent about it, like there's a consistent magical flow flowing through it, but you can't, like, pick it up, and you can't tell what it is, but you can feel that it's in there.
Not natural. That's pretty much what I was going for.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's me.
Okay. So, as the other three of you make it out of the to the town gate, the guards that are standing there look at the three of you, look out at the mists out there, and they go, "Good luck."
Thank you.
As you guys
Much
pass
appreciated. We'll take all of it. Thank you.
by, the little dragon is just sitting on Zarya's shoulder, and is just kind of looking around, going, "Huh, huh, huh."
I motioned to it. I'm like, my shoulder's taller up. You could probably see farther if you were on my shoulder.
Well, you're Zarya, aren't you? No,
No, Ziara is Brenna.
Brenna. Oh, okay, my bad. That was just misspeaking. He is on your
No,
shoulder.
don't. It's hilarious.
Fiona. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
He's just kind of hopping from people's backpack to people's backpack.
Yep.
As you guys make it to the camp, they are finishing their setup and their breakdown, and are about ready to leave. So, short of you guys wanting to stop them for anything, as soon as you get there, they basically point you all to a wagon near the back and say, "Hop on," and you start heading out. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with your camera, Shayla.
It's just being finicky. It does this sometimes.
You don't have enough light in there. If you had a little bit more light in there, your camera would have less issue.
So you should probably turn on your lamp that's next to your table. Oh, whoops. That's not what I meant to do. It's actually going to do this. There we go. Oh, look, I look less red. Okay. Yeah. So, you guys start off. The fog and the mist continue to roll in around the wagons as they pull the lanterns down, which is the last thing they do, and they start off. And with the sounds of saddles and, reins cracking and people calling back and forth to one another, you guys start rolling out.
I would like to play, what's it called? Song of Inspiration.
Okay.
Help Shayla with her exhaustion. Make sure everybody's starting to wake up and get good.
That requires doing a short rest, right?
Are we not in a wagon, technically in a resting motion?
Yeah, I'll give that to you. Yeah, go for it.
Because we're not doing anything. It's kind of like we're sitting at a camp or something.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You're fine. You're fine.
If that's the case, then I passed out in the back of the wagon.
You're not going to get a long rest, but you will get a short. And
That's
your Song
all
of
I need.
Inspiration, does that actually heal a level of exhaustion?
Book.
Just
I
want to
know
clarify.
Connection's doing a lot.
I think it might only increase healing hit die.
Okay. Regardless, if that's what you're doing, even if you don't use the ability, I imagine you're going to be playing some small song while you guys are traveling?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you guys start going and you start playing, one of the traveling people that's in the front of your wagon turns back to you and goes, "It's okay to play, but make sure you keep it down. We don't want to let anything know we're out here."
Ominous.
Huh?
Ominous. Anything?
We have been.
Do you actually like say that sounds ominous to him?
Yes.
So the woman next to him actually responds to you and goes, "Yeah, but this is not a normal fog if you haven't noticed, so just be careful."
Rewriting it. I'm just gonna glue it on here.
So they're all traveling in silence then, or as quiet as they can be, huh?
They're traveling fairly quietly. Obviously, they're still talking to one another. There's still that, but there's nobody like singing, playing instruments, or being incredibly loud. Even the one or two times where you hear a child cry, they're quickly quieted.
I'm gonna ask. So, how would it not notice a whole band of travelers if it would notice us making noise? I mean, we're wagons
We don't ask that
and
question.
horses.
The woman smiles and goes, "Well, that's what you have a mistwalker for. They don't notice the mistwalkers or the people traveling with them unless they're really loud."
Mistwalker is what now?
She looks back at you and goes, "You guys wanted to go to the valley, right?"
Yes, we do.
I mean, yeah.
She nods. Yeah, so we need to take a mist path up there. Like that's the fastest, easiest way to get to the valley.
Can you explain a mist path? Quietly, sorry.
They both kind of look at each other and go, "You're not."
I'm so annoyed. I know it annoys us too.
I did the best research I could, but all I found was like poems.
Fair enough. Well, so a mist path, and at about that point, the whole caravan just stops. Somebody shouts, "Halt!" And everything stops. You guys have probably been traveling for about 30 minutes. Colton, did you end up finding out if the song actually fixes a level of exhaustion?
No, it does not. It's just hit points.
Okay, fair enough. So somebody calls out "halt," and then you hear a much louder voice that sounds angry shouting something up ahead.
I get off of the wagon and try and work my way up the side unobtrusively to see if there's anything I can do up there.
Yeah. So the two traveling people who are in your cart kind of look at you like you're crazy, but they don't stop you as you start making your way up the side of the caravan. You're probably like 10 of the 12 carts back.
I'm gonna follow him.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just gonna say, I thought we were supposed to be quiet.
They look at you and go, "That doesn't sound like one of us."
Like, I'm just trying to be, like, unobtrusively moving up, and my intent is, if nothing is going on, to go back to the wagon and get back on it.
Yep. Totally fair. So, Jareth, Gris, the two of you start making your way up to the front. The other three, are you guys going to join them? Or are you going to stay in the wagon?
Once I find out that doesn't sound like one of us, I'll start going forward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Say that again, Courtney. You're a little further away from the microphone.
probably go further too.
Okay.
Well, I sit by the traveling people and so can you explain that mist path a little bit? Like very quietly.
Your little lantern dragon is sitting on your shoulder and goes, "You know, I feel like there are more important things going on right now, but sure. Information." So while you guys are moving up, you continue to hear the sounds of people yelling. As you get closer to the front, one of the voices is definitely the matron of the caravan yelling at somebody. And as you pull up next to her, you see standing in front of the lead wagon, which she's standing on the driver's seat of, holding a stick and yelling at somebody. There is someone in full plate with 3 smaller creatures in cloaks next to him, standing there yelling. You can tell it's a him because the faceplate of the helmet is up, and it is very clearly somebody with a beard.
Are they yelling in a language that anybody understands?
Yeah, they're yelling in common.
Ah.
So as you guys get closer to them, she's yelling, "Get out of the way! We have rights to pass through here." And he's shouting back. They're probably like 60 feet away from each other at this point. You can just barely see this guy and his buddies in the fog. He's shouting back, "I don't care if you have rights to pass through here. You're bringing in fugitives. Either hand them over or I will search the wagons."
Fugitives?
Okay, plot thickens.
Where?
He hasn't quite said where the fugitive is.
Well, someone else said it.
So as he shouts that back, she goes, "We have no one with us who is a fugitive in your lands, and you know that." And then the two of them start bickering over the definition of fugitive. Him claiming that anyone who's done anything wrong against his master is a fugitive. Her claiming that they have to have done it at some point in the recently, and you have to have proof. You know, you can't call somebody guilty before there's a trial. Yada yada, back and forth, for a few minutes.
I want to try yours.
So, anybody gonna jump in here, or are you guys just gonna continue watching?
Well, I'm watching.
Okay.
I ain't stepping in between there. Although, is the matron traveling with anybody on the front wagon?
There is somebody who's driving next to her. It looks like the little halfling guy that they called over to Grist's fire the night before. But he doesn't seem to be saying anything. He's just sitting there looking bored.
Am I close enough? Like, I would like to be kind of close enough to nudge him and be like, "Hey, what's going on here? I need help."
Yeah, so you can get up next to him without really being noticed by either the matron or the guy, because they're both just kind of still in their shouting match. They're currently debating, like, the ethics of law, it sounds like. So as you nudge him, he kind of looks down at you and goes, what's up?
So, this been going on long?
This is the first time he's actually stopped us.
Need any help?
Not yet, he says as he pulls, like, a loaf of rye bread out of his pocket and starts to nibble on it.
Alright, well, if you need help, I'm willing to be a little bit of muscle for you guys, so, yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm just, well, enjoying the show. It's really rare that we see her get this worked up.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna, like, pull my cloak up as much as I can and try to sidle up to somebody who's kind of nearby and ask if he's identified who he thinks the fugitives are.
So there's a couple other traveling people who are obviously standing nearby, and as you ask one of them, the woman that you asked is just kind of like, "No, he seems to think that the mother knows who they are, but other than you guys and a few other people we picked up recently, there's no one new with us since last time we came this way, and I don't think any of you have been here before."
Okay.
Eventually the shouting match gets to the point of where the guy in the plate just starts stepping forward, and he goes, "I will search myself, and you will not stop me, you old hag." She takes her stick and slams it down and goes, "No! You are not searching my wagons. Stay back, or I will be forced to use this." The little halfling looks at you, Jareth, and he's like, I'm thinking we might need some help now, because I don't know if her blasting out magic in the middle of this fog is the best of ideas right now.
Well, that's kind of my solution to a lot of things at this point. So,
No. Someone else doing it is fine. Her specifically, I'm worried about. She tends to go overboard.
Okay.
No
Well, if it
kill
comes
like
to it,
over
I can
club.
help. I'll probably end up being a fugitive from them too if I attack that guy, but whatever.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna have my hand on my great axe just in case.
Do we have any indication of what, I guess, region or lord they're representing?
At the moment, he's too far away to see what the coat of arms clearly is that he's got on his chest plate, just because the mist is kind of obscuring it. And while the sun has come up at this point, it's still pretty early in the morning, so you're not dealing with direct sunlight yet. But he's clearly got some sort of lord sigil. As far as you guys know, though, there's no lord in the immediate vicinity who would have a knight guarding this particular road.
Trying to see what spells I have that would be very just kind of under the.
Yeah, no, totally. While you guys get ready to potentially launch some spells at him and prepare that, Shayla with Fiona, the two traveling people that you're back there in the wagon with tell you, yeah, no, a mistwalker is somebody who can find the paths through the mist. The paths to the mist are like the ways you travel. They're like the roads.
Is that mist with a capital M?
Yeah. They both say that in unison.
So we're traveling through the mist to get to the valley.
Yeah.
As a shortcut?
Yes, they both say. Kind of confused.
Oh, I did not realize that was a considered possibility. Good to know.
Okay. Meanwhile, the shouting is still happening up in the front. This is while the shouting match is still continuing.
I would like to walk forward towards the shouting.
Okay. So you interset yourself in the front of the crowd?
My cloak pulled as far forward and making myself seem as small as possible. And just try to ask very kindly, who exactly are you looking for, sir?
So, okay. So you guys see Zaria just kind of step forward. She's got her cloak up. She walks past you, Jareth, where you're near the front of the crowd because most of the crowd has not gone past the front of the wagon. So she steps past you and goes, who exactly are you looking for? And you do this in a perfect lull between the two of them shouting, as they're menacing at each other, and both of them kind of just immediate daggers at you. And before the matron can speak, the knight shouts out, "I am looking for 2 fugitives who have assaulted my lord on multiple occasions, who have assisted in crimes against his kingdom and against his person and against his will. They are here, and I know that they are."
Does anyone within the caravan have a bit of fleece I could buy?
Fleece?
Fleece.
I imagine it's
Just some wool.
Oh, you're looking for the component for the sleep spell, right?
Phantasmal Force.
Oh,
actually,
you need it for both, apparently, huh? Yeah, no. If it's a piece of fleece, you probably have that just on you anyway.
Okay.
Fleece is just a type of unknit wool. I imagine you've got some that's just in your cloak that you can pull free if you need it.
Yeah. And fleece also refers to literally just the threads of wool off a sheep as well. So
yeah.
literally
willing
just
to
taking
bet-
some lines off of your like wool shirt. Just like,
I'm willing to bet one of the people they're looking for is you, Brenna.
Yeah. Why do you think the cloak is up?
That's why I'm kind of nervous because we've been told yeah.
Someone.
I feel like maybe in the past this might have been us. Does anyone hold on? I have a costume. I go and put my costume on real quick so I don't look like me.
Sure.
Good call. Good call.
Just in case. I don't know what I did, but I have a feeling it's me.
All right, so Sakara dives behind a wagon to go get changed.
Roll for what?
What would that be to roll if I have any idea what they're talking about? Or like if it's me.
I mean, you don't think it's you, but I imagine your paranoia complex is kicking in here.
Yeah, and just all the crap that I've been told. I have a slight suspicion, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But I want to see if I remember anything from, like, that I don't remember anymore, or, like, a past life or something.
Whatever it is, yeah, go roll for it.
What would that be?
That would be a history check.
History? Okay. Oh, I better roll good. Roll good! 3.
3?
I don't.
As you're staring at this guy and like desperately trying to think, is it me? Is it me? Is it me? Did I do this? Is this my fault? Like, what's going on here? Like, as that the panic is rolling through your head, you just feel like a lightning bolt hits you in the back of the head for a second. And your head just starts hurting. It starts like you're getting a splitting headache, and you have to stop, like, sit down on the ground and like reel yourself back in for a minute before you can see clearly again.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. So Brenna, that was the response that you got. You're now standing at the front and very clearly in the middle of this argument as the matron opens her mouth and goes and shoots back. No one here is a fugitive in your kingdom. You know that. Your lord knows that. And he has given us safe passage. Move aside.
After she says that, I start backing away.
That's the point at which he snarls at her, and he takes and put a hand. He actually like physically grabs his sword. He hasn't pulled it out yet, but he's got his hand on the sword at his belt. And the other three that's with him step forward. All of them, like, they're close enough. Like the other three, as they get closer, they're probably about 30 feet away from you guys at this point. And you can see the symbol on his chest well enough to identify it at this point. So, those of you who are asking what it looked like, it looks like... Give me a second. I need to find the image of it again.
Well, when I notice they grab their swords, I stand up, kind of ignore my headache at that moment for just a split second, and I grab my great axe, and I just have that ready too. I'm ready to step in if I need to.
Okay.
Yeah. When he puts his hand on his thing, I'll stop backing up and put my hand on my mace as well.
I want to bump Jareth and kind of whisper, "Phantasmal force," or Tasha's laughter. Tasha's hideous laughter.
All right, so I'm going to share an image with you real quick, guys. So, there you go. Let me zoom that in a little bit.
That's not ominous at all.
That is what you see upon the crest.
The neat crest.
So the crest is a, he's got like the, what is the the thing that knights wear that's draped over the front of their armor, the cloth piece. I don't remember what that's called.
Tabard?
Tabard. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, so he has the tabard that is draped over the front of his armor that has this crest on the front of it.
I don't know this, but has my character seen that before?
Roll for it. History check.
I will also check.
I got a 15.
15. So as you look at it, you can tell that this crest is not the typical type of crest that's used currently. Like the design, the way that it's laid out, it doesn't fit the modern stylings of noble crests that you've seen. It looks significantly older. This is something that you would date centuries of older, stuff that you would see old families would have like in their manor houses of, oh yes, when my great-great-great-great-grandfather built this manor, this was the crest that we used at the time. It is now over the fireplace and no one's ever changed it. As far as knowing the specifics of it, you don't know it specifically, but there's bits and pieces here that like you can identify. You know that's a griffin on the front, for example. There's mists in the background of the symbol that seem to be, you know, that's important to this individual, but as far as like, oh, this belongs to this lord, no.
Fair enough, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Does somebody else rolling for that?
I did, but my roll was less than what he got, so I figured I wouldn't uncover anything new.
Yep, fair enough. Anyone else?
Can I be quietly sneaking out of the wagon now that everyone's gone and the shouting paused?
Yeah, no, you can make your way up there if you'd like.
Okay.
Your little lantern dragon's like, I'm gonna fly ahead and I'm gonna perch on one of the wagons.
Fair enough.
Okay. He like takes off and quietly starts flying. Like flaps twice, which sounds really loud next to your head, and then just kind of glides over the top of the wagons into the mists.
I sneak forward to join the crowd within it.
Okay. Brenna, did you end up making a roll?
I rolled 14.
Okay.
So.
All right. So yeah, that is the symbol that you see on this gentleman's tabard. Where were we? So yeah. He's got his hand on his sword, he's prepared to draw, and he's not moving out of his way. He responds to the matron mother, I know they're here. Now let me search the wagons and find them, and you can move on your way.
I whisper to the old lady, hey, if you need us to take care of this, we might be able to.
She glances like briefly down at you, and then out of the corner of her mouth while she's glaring at him says, I don't know that you want to take him when he has that thing at his waist.
At his waist, huh? So what did we miss?
He's got a sword at his waist.
Oh.
I'm gonna ask, how sorry did you know that they're with them?
He looks over at you, and he like, again, his faceplate's still up, so you can see his face. He's got a thick, bushy beard, and his eyes are peering suspiciously out from underneath it, and he goes, my master sensed their arrival. He stops, he stares at you for a second, and then his blade comes out and he goes, present yourself, woman. Who are you?
I'm gonna cast Phantasmal Force on him.
Alright, sounds good. What does Phantasmal Force do?
The pulling of the blade was like lined across. He's done for. I craft an illusion that takes root in the mind of the creature that you see within range. The target must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, you create a phantasmal object, creature, or other visible phenomenon of your choice that is no larger than a 10-foot cube. and that is perceivable only to the target for the duration of the spell, has no effect on undead or constructs. This phantasmal includes sounds, temperature, and other stimuli that are only evident to the creature. The target can use its action to examine the phantasmal with an intelligence investigation check against your spell save DC. If the check succeeds, the target realizes the phantasmal is an illusion, and the spell ends. While the target is affected by the spell, the target treats the phantasmal as if it were real. The target rationalizes any illogical outcomes from interacting with the phantasmal. For example, a target attempting to walk across a phantasmal bridge that spans a chasm falls once it steps onto the bridge. If the target survives the fall, it believes the bridge exists and comes up with another explanation for its fall.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what illusion are you putting in front of his face? What illusion are you manifesting for him?
I'm going to make it seem like maggots are crawling in and out of his skin.
Okay, and he's got to make an intelligence saving throw against your spell save DC.
Yes.
What is your spell save DC?
I'm trying to.
Are you okay, Shayla?
I apologize, Shayla.
Don't describe it in any more detail, man.
Spell save 13.
Intelligence. All right, well, he's not that smart, so we'll see how this goes. Yep, he fails. So you cast the spell as he's drawn his sword and he's looking at Zarya, and the spell takes effect, and immediately he's like, huh? He just starts taking the sword and like smacking the flat of the blade against himself, and he's like, what in the world? And he starts freaking out and starts to smack things. The halfling on the wagon next to Jareth just starts chuckling and goes, good shot. Nice, very well done. How long does Phantasmal Force last?
Up to 1 minute.
1 minute. All right, cool.
That still sounds like an excruciating period of time.
All right, so for 1 minute, he's distracted. So the other three immediately turn and look at him, and one of them, like, clearly moves up and is, like, saying something, but they're too far away for you to hear. It's, like, whispering at him. And the matron goes, everybody to your wagons, let's go. So she immediately whips off, and you see people like jumping onto carts, grabbing a hold of the other parts of carts as the carts start making out, and the crowd just basically, they don't necessarily go back to the wagon they were on, they just jump and grab a hold of a wagon as quickly as they can.
Jump on the nearest wagon. Leap.
Okay. So while this is happening, the three that are there the other three are very confused. One of them attempts to get in the way and stop the first wagon, but it's very clear they're not stopping. And so it just, like, they're not to full gallop, obviously. It's only 30 feet, so they just continue going towards it, and it just moves out of the way as they're getting to a trot and starting to speed up. They're very confused. You guys successfully, in the minute that you have, get the horses up to speed, and you get out of there.
Nice.
Alright, so good use of a spell. Okay. So after the minute passes, you feel the spell wane, and you guys have moved a distance. You've moved about a quarter mile, so you're ahead. You didn't see them have any horses. They were just standing there. So you think you may have lost them. But the caravan does not slow down. They just keep moving.
Am I in the same cart as Brenna?
How many of there are you guys? There's 5 of you, right?
5 of us, 12 wagons.
Okay.
If I
You are not in the same wagon as her currently. You're currently in the same wagon as Fiona.
Okay.
And then Gris and Jareth are together. So, Brenna, your character is now on the first wagon with the matron and the halfling. So yeah, you guys are still within like line of sight of each other, but because of how you were positioned and everybody moving off, you ended up on slightly different wagons in the mad scramble. So that's where you are for the moment. After probably about another 1.5 miles, they slow down to a more walking pace to rest the horses for a minute, and you guys are able to renegotiate where you're at.
And the lanternette.
Yeah, he comes back over to you and goes, well, that was... Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Weird. What did you notice?
Oh. I don't know what that weapon was he had, but... Oh. Don't get stabbed by that thing, whatever it was.
I don't make a habit of being stabbed by weapons. I will make an extra habit of not being stabbed by that. By the way, I didn't catch your name. Did I introduce myself?
At some point, I think you introduced yourself to him.
Yeah.
I feel like you did that last session.
Yeah. Okay. He's tired, to be fair.
Yeah. But you ask his name?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a name. Tamal. That's what it
Tamal.
was. Tamal.
Awesome.
A little bit short of a tamale.
Huh?
Yeah, if I would have finished reading that spell, I wouldn't have gone on that route. I would have been like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, and went a different route. But that was the first thing that hit my head. So,
Hey man, illusion
It
magic.
worked.
It's powerful. It's good at getting people distracted.
A little bit of an issue with concentration being part of it, but
I mean, if nobody's attacking him, right?
pretty much.
Okay. So yeah, you guys are able to all get back into the wagon you were originally in, and you guys continue onward. So, or you're able to talk to anybody in the traveling caravan at this moment while everybody's kind of at a walking pace. You're able to walk up next to the other carts. So, any information that you guys want to gather at the moment would be now.
Like, the only thing I'm wondering about is if the old lady knows who the guy was talking about.
Do you ask her?
Yeah, like if I can walk up, like, in us rearranging after all of that, like, if the old lady's up on front of her thing, like, I'll walk up to the front wagon and I'll be like, if she's out and on front of the wagon with the gnome guy, I'll be like, hey, so who exactly was he trying to catch?
Yeah, no, totally. She looks you up and down and she goes, he's convinced that there are some old enemies of his master amongst my wagons. I don't know exactly who he's referring to specifically. None of your group has been here before. And none of my other traveling companions who have been picked up since last we were at the valley have been this way. So I don't know who he thinks he's looking for.
Kind of like
Okay.
like sneak
Well,
up and I'm like, so who's this master that he serves?
She looks back at you and nonchalantly just says, oh, that is Strahd von Zarovich, the Lord of Barovia, the Vampire Lord. You wanted to go to the valley.
Isn't he dead?
Dead is such a relative term.
Right, vampire. Spooky. Okay. So we're mist walking to get to a valley. Valley's over. What?
She smiles at you and says, "My dear, the valley you wanted to go to, its physical location in your world relates to a much broader location cosmically. We are going to the broader location."
Cool. Okay. So where is it
Overall, it makes me
habitated
wonder
then?
if the map that I have is actually related to this.
I mean, you'll
could
find
ask.
out soon.
So is it inhabited then?
Oh, yes, there's plenty of people who live in the valley still.
Right. Okay.
And it's been a long time since I brought anyone to the valley to deal with the problem, so I feel like it's time again.
Cool. When you say it's been when was the last time, perchance, that this was happening?
She looks over at the halfling, he looks back at her, and he goes, what was it, 400 years ago? At least how you reckon time, I think.
I thought you were human.
So the little halfling next to... Oh, you're talking about her, right?
Yeah.
She smiles and says, "I am. Oh, yes, I most definitely am."
Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't get introduced. I say, like, over towards the halfling. I'm Fiona. What was your name?
Regis.
Regis. Cool. Okay, nice to meet you, Regis.
He shakes your hand and he goes, "Got any rabbit red?"
Not on me, mostly wax.
Oh, he looks at the little dragon. "Yeah, no, that's a good idea."
Yeah. I wasn't sure, how much we'd be able to get our hands on in a mountain, so.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'd like to walk up to the matron and kind of like apologize for jumping in and make sure that she's cool with it.
She nods and says, "I appreciate you doing that. That meant I didn't have to actually deal with him personally, which could have ended badly for everyone. Also, very, very well-timed illusion magic. I don't think he was expecting anybody to cast something on him like that. It's been a while since somebody's tripped him up."
Cool.
Yes, Brenna?
I like to go to the matron and just say, so you remember that little problem we came to ask your advice on?
Yep.
Where we went to a place where we didn't know where we were?
Yes.
Could we have possibly been here?
This place? No. She motions around you. This physical location? No. Then she gestures and much more broadly, yes.
Because if they think that that somebody wronged their master, but we're not aware of wronging their master, perhaps it was because we're not aware of it, because we didn't realize it was there.
She shrugs and says, "The powers of the mist already had their fingers in you before you came and talked to me. That's why I was willing to take you here. You were going to end up there one way or the other.
Okay.
It's safer to come with a wagon caravan," she motions back at her wagons behind you, "than it is to be pulled in willy-nilly. As far as you not remembering what happened, I think there's more going on with the mists and their pulls and their strings on you than you've realized yet, my dear.
Yes.
But I don't know specifically what they'd be. I highly doubt you've actually been to the valley before, since that's a place that generally once you go in, you don't come back out of. At least not in the facet that you would forget about. You would remember being here.
I need to get to my home within a year.
She smiles at the little dragon and she says, well, one way or another, I think that can be arranged, yes.
One way or another.
Okay.
I'm so sorry for dragging you.
What?
I lean in. I'm just like, I'm so sorry for potentially dragging you into this.
He looks at you and goes, you're gonna owe me a lot of wax.
I'll get more. I'll get even more.
Uh-huh. Well, this will be great for the memories.
The 6'7" orc just like kind of just like slowly, just tiny bit of crying, just like quietly in the background.
Yeah, Tamal takes his wing and starts patting you with his wing.
The comic relief orc.
So yeah. Next up, Courtney, do you have anything that you wish to say to any of the party members?
I'm having a brain fart. Hold on.
I was gonna say, I take this as a yes. She's just trying to figure out what she's trying to say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fine.
I was singing a song in my head a second, so I need to put my brain back where I was going. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask Ziara, do you think that had anything to do with why we can't remember a lot of things, or why, like that, what we were told about the item?
I have a very sneaking suspicion.
Yeah. Also, I don't think I put my costume off yet, so I'm pretty sure I look different.
You look like a tabaxi instead of a lion.
Yeah. The
Probably.
cat shines through. I don't think there's very many cat people in the group.
Instead of looking like a leonin, you look like a leopard.
So the leopard can change its spots.
Okay. So you guys continue onward. The matron eventually tells you to go back to your wagon so that they can pick up the pace again. And as the pace continues, you guys eventually make it to a gate. This gate is, as you've gotten clearly higher up into the mountains, you get to a point where there is, out of the mist rises a wall with several statues of knights holding shields as if they're defending against something, surrounding this rusty old gate that kind of is just open in the wind. You can see that there's a rusted portcullis up on the top, and that as far as you can see, this wall extends into both directions into the mists. You can't see beyond it. But that the trees grow right up against it. Like, this wall has clearly been here for centuries. It's weathered, it's worn. The faces on these knights that are around the gate have been worn off. And the traveling people pass through it without comment, without concern. They make it seem like it's normal. And just keep riding on through.
Back on the wagon that we're on, I pull out my map that I've gotten from the old dude and edited, and I ask the people that we're riding with, about where are we on here?
So they point to the area where the old dude has the gate marked, They say, we're about here, so we're probably a couple miles from the town, and they point at where the town he said was. And it says, that's about where we are. This road that you've got marked here should take you right up to the castle if that's where you want to go.
Oh, I was just trying to collect my bearings and see how accurate this old map I found is.
As accurate as a hand-drawn map can be.
All right, well, I guess kind of
have any
annotating on the map
corrections?
that we're where we are and where our adventures are taking us on this thing.
All right. And no,
Do you have any better maps of the area?
they shake their
Anywhere?
heads. No, we don't generally use maps.
That's fair. Would you be willing to like update a couple key places on this one? Just like good places to know or be careful of.
They look at the map and they shake their heads and go, anything that I can think of is already on there.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
I would like to ask about the briar thorn patch ring around something ominous.
They look at you and then they nod slowly and go, so that one is not here. They point where the old man marked the pillar stone and they go, the castle's there still, at least here. If you'd gone up to the valley on your own, you'd find the patch there at the pillar stone. But because you came with us, the castle's there.
Aha. Got it. All right, well, I put the map away then. Just
Okay.
wanted to see where we were and how it relates.
Fair enough. So eventually, as things go on, you guys hear as you're passing through these fogs, the mists haven't calmed down any. If anything, they've gotten a little thicker as you guys have continued riding up the mountain, and you're going through what appears to be an old-growth forest. It's wet. There's puddles. There's mud on the road. Eventually, they come out of the forest into a clearing where you can see, as the mist kind of clears out a bit, there's a town ahead, and it's just kind of overcast. The mist seems to stop at the edge of the forest. And they pull up and circle their wagons on the edge of the town. In the distance, you can see the cliff face that is supposed to mark the ridge that you need to go around, but they've pulled over off to the town that's right there on the map. And above, it's kind of hard to see against the backdrop of the clouds, but you think you can make out the outline of a castle high above, at the top of the cliff.
All right, so consult my map again. What town does this appear to be?
This is the first town. I don't know if on your map it was ever named specifically.
Well, I compared it against the one that the monastery had,
right,
and I
you did.
updated it.
Yeah.
From what I could.
So this one was the one that was known as Barovia on the map, and the monastery. So yeah. The wagons pull up, they ring up, and the traveling people start setting up camp. It's probably about midday. So, what are you guys going to do?
Let's see here. So we talked to the matron. The matron said she'd bring us here. I'm just wondering if this is the part where we part ways with them. So I guess find the matron and be like, so is this the end of the line and where we part ways and we try and figure out what's going on here?
She looks at the group of you and motions all of you to gather near to her. And she says, if this is when you want to leave, you're more than welcome to. We will be staying here for a few days and then moving on.
How far on? Farther into the valley? Other places? Are you leaving? Like how? What kind of timeline are you looking at around valley travel times? You said the last time you traveled down here was 400 years. We don't have to wait 400 years for you to come back, right?
She starts laughing. And she pats you on the shoulder. She's got to reach up and like tries to pat you on the shoulder and says, "No, honey, I've been here many, many times in the last 400 years."
Oh, okay.
The last time I brought a group of would-be adventurers to this valley was about 400 years ago.
Oh, comforting. Okay.
The little halfling walks up next to you and hands you a loaf of fry bread, and he says, "Here, eat this. This usually helps."
Okay.
She looks at you and says, "To answer your question, my dear, the intent is to be here for a few days. We'll trade with the townsfolk, and then probably move on either to the next town in line, Valaki, and stay there for a few days, and then probably go pick up some wine at the winery further down, and then head out the other end of the valley."
Okay, so you're gonna have a few days in Barovia, and then a few days in Valaki.
Valaki, yes.
Few days in Valaki, and then like a day at a winery or something.
Probably. And then out the other end of the valley.
Okay.
Places to see, things to do.
Awesome. And then out of the valley. So we have a week.
This is where you wanted to be and to check things out, so you're more than welcome to explore on wherever you feel necessary.
And when would you be returning to the valley again?
She looks up at the sky, kind of shakes her head for a moment. "I don't know for sure."
Long story short, if we don't leave with them, we'll have to find our own way out.
Yeah, no freaking kidding. So, quick question, politely. She like goes into full like small mode, so like the orc's shoulders just like kind of crunch forward, her hands go up, and she like just kind of like goes down to almost human height, so like only 6 feet tall. She's like, "Okay, so quick question. So, in theory, if this takes longer than the maybe approximate week, how does one identify and or hire a mistwalker to get shortcut back out?"
She smiles and goes, "The mists let you go when the mists already let you go. As far as traveling to other realms in the mists, you need an artifact, my dear. You already have one, though I don't know where it goes. You should be fine to be able to take them yourself."
Okay, cool. Mists let you go when they want to. Great, we're dealing with... Dang it. I only deal with one deity. Okay, cool. Cool, thank you. He like straightens back up slightly and leans back, just like taking like small notes.
There's the Christmas lights out there.
She looks at the rest of you and says, "Is there any other questions you have for me? I do have things I must attend to."
You've been incredibly helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything we should watch out with while interacting with the locals?
She kind of shakes her head and says, "They're all very superstitious and mistrusting at first, and for the most part, none of them like the vampire. Keep that in mind."
None of them like the what?
The vampire.
The vampire. Okay.
Thank you, matron lady. I hope to see you again. The caravan.
She nods. "And I hope you join us in the caravan again someday. Whether that be soon or distantly."
Ah, you're appreciated, and your tea is delicious.
She nods to the group of you and walks away. The little halfling is still there.
What's your plan, halfling?
He motions you guys closer to him, like he makes a gesture for all of you to kind of gather around. And then he takes Zarya and Sakara's hands and he says, "Ladies, you're wonderful, beautiful women. I do not say that it's a flirt with you. Just to be clear, I don't roll that way."
What?
But be careful, please, both of you. You'll find old friends and old enemies in this place, but keep in mind, it'll be okay. He then pulls out a picture out of his pocket, and to Zarya he shows that symbol you were looking for before. You mentioned at one point that you were looking for this to some people.
Yeah?
No. Naughty. Hey.
He smiles and says,
Is it the brooch symbol?
Huh?
Is it the brooch?
Yes,
symbol?
the brooch.
Okay.
The Strahd brooch. He says, "I know where it is, but you're not going to like it. But you're probably going to need it eventually."
Okay.
I have certain sets of skills, and if you need my help, I am here in the wagons. However, this brooch is currently in the crypts under the castle.
Halfling, what kind of skill sets do you have? So we know what to call you for and not to call you for.
He
Hey,
smiles.
ain't you ever seen the movie Taken?
He smiles and he looks at you and he says, "If any of you need a resurrection, just simply call my name. I know how to do that." Death and I have a relationship, and he likes to grant me things that we need back.
Relationship. So is that how you
Say that again, Courtney? What?
a relationship? Oh, so that's how you swing.
I guess you could take it that way, yeah. Just remember, guys, your soul's worth more than a piece of rye bread.
What?
I want to do another history check to see if I remember anything or if this place seems familiar to me.
Yep, go for it. As you're rolling that history check, hold on. As you're rolling that history check, he pats both of your hands again, Sakara and Zarya, and says, "It's good to see you. It's good to meet all of you. And good luck. I'll be with the wagons when you need me. Hopefully you don't."
Can I ask you before you leave? Have you seen me before? And used your special skills before?
Looks you up and down and says, "A long time ago, I knew a woman who was much like you. She was smart, she was brave, and she was very talented with a bow. You remind me a lot of her."
Aha. Okay.
About me?
He looks at you, he kind of scratches his chin for a second and goes, "The physical resemblance isn't necessarily there, but you remind me of a feisty little gnome that I used to know. Her and her companions did a lot of good here for a long time."
You don't recognize any of the rest of us, right?
He looks at you and he goes, "No, not per se. None of you
All right.
remind me of anyone in particular, but I've met a lot of people in my life."
Understandable. Dope. I'd probably be freaked out if I was remembered from a past life or something weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about how I'm feeling right now. Just a
Yeah.
All right.
bit. Not an 18.
Got an 18. So this time, when you try to remember things, you remember walking up this road before. Like, it's deja vu as you kind of look over the top of his head at the road, and you remember walking up this road with several other people. You don't remember who exactly. It's all really fuzzy. But you know there were other people with you, and seeing this town and seeing that castle as lightning struck the castle above your head, and thinking, oh no, we screwed up. Why are we here? Clear as day, you remember that, but you don't remember when, you don't know how.
I've been here before.
So at this point, while you're kind of looking at the road, he walks back further into the wagons.
Oh.
Well, there's clearly 0% concerning about anything we just learned in the last half hour.
Uh-huh.
Nothing to be concerned about. Nothing. No worries here.
Everything's fine.
All is well in the mists.
The deja vu feeling, do I sense that I might have been smaller?
Yeah, no, the perspective that you're remembering this from is not the perspective that you currently have.
Like shorter?
Yeah, you feel like you're looking up more than you currently do.
Can I put 2 and 2 together and figure out that maybe that gnome I remind him of might have been actually me?
I mean, it's a conclusion you can draw. Yeah, whether that's the correct conclusion is still up for debate.
Just the question is when and who and how and why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so caravan town. There's a town there.
Yes. So, what are you guys gonna do now?
I pull pull everyone in. The Dragonborn being the only other one who's like not totally budged, probably by my arm with them. Like, okay, guys, group huddle.
Group huddle, everyone.
We have about a week to do whatever we need to do here if we want to get out the first time round, because I do not want to use the thing that I have to get us through mists. And apparently the mists only let go when they want to let go, which means we have to get whatever we need to get done, I think. So what are we doing?
Relax, and then let's go have a beer.
Drinking at a time like this? I need
What
to go
part?
to a church.
Oh, we have a week.
And thus we see player priority, or character priorities.
Go for a beer.
I think alcohol sounds like a very good idea right now.
So I've got my traveler's cloak wrapped around me, so it's kind of hard to see what I am underneath it for purposes of being dragonborn. Just saying.
Yeah.
Fiona
Totally
has
fine.
none of that on her mind. It's just like everything. I'm just an orc walking into town with her party.
I'm just an orc walking. That's all I am.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just look like a lion, so
Are you not a leopard anymore?
no, I don't think I would have kept it on this long.
All right. So
I only use it when I need it.
That's fair.
you guys start making your way towards the town. To get into the town, you have to cross a small stone bridge over a tiny river. It's really more of a stream than a river, but you guys end up crossing over that and start walking into the main town. As you get into town, you see that there is a primary intersection in the middle of town with a variety of homes on either side. There doesn't seem to be really anybody out and about, despite it being midday. There are a few shops at the center intersection of town. There is what looks like a tavern on one corner, what looks like a general store on the other corner, and a blacksmithy on the corner in between those two corners. The third corner just has an empty lot that looks like you might pull up wagons or something to it. And then off of these branches, one is obviously the one leading back out of town the way you came. The road directly in front of you, as if you were to keep going that direction, leads out of town in the other direction, though the road seems to end just beyond the last of the houses. And then the cross street, one end ends at a chapel, and the other end seems to end at a small manor. So, what are you going to do? The tavern is in front of you to your left, and then off to your left as well is the road that takes up to the church, if you guys still want to split up and go those two different directions.
Dark reflections.
All right, and it's midday, you said?
Yes.
All right, and almost nobody's walking around anywhere.
Not really that you can see. You do smell
Alright.
the smoke of cook fires, like in the homes. You can see that there's smoke coming out of numerous chimneys, but there doesn't seem to be anybody on the street.
All right, well, tavern seems to be the place to go.
I guess it's lunchtime. Okay.
Taverns are also places where they might have beds. Does it look like the place has accommodations above it or anything like that?
Yeah, it looks like there's rooms above it. It doesn't look like it's a true inn. It looks more like it's supposed to be a bar, but it looks like it might have accommodations above.
So
Yeah.
more like a B&B.
Yeah.
I still feel like I want to go contemplate things at the chapel.
I join you.
All right, the clerics are going to the chapel.
Fair.
All right, and
And
the
the
other
dragon
three of
walks
you
into a bar.
to the bar. Okay,
Uh,
so you guys split ways. Do you actually establish a meeting time this time?
Let's meet before mid-afternoon when the sun's at 3/4.
Yeah.
It's midday. We'll meet here in town square in front of the tavern. That good with everyone?
Sure.
Okay.
Works for me.
Very well. Very well. You guys split off, so we will resolve those three of you going into the bar first, as the other two are walking towards the chapel. So as you walk up to the bar, you see that there's an old sign swinging in the just above it, but it doesn't have anything written on it. It looks like time has weathered away whatever type of writing or painting they would have had to label what this place was. So that is now gone. So as you go through the door into the tavern, you find yourselves in a fairly spacious room with a stairway in the back that leads up to what looks like a couple of like room areas above. There are about 10 tables in the room scattered about, and a bar off to your left. Behind the bar, there is a large burly man with dark skin pouring beers. There's two guys at the bar. There's several what look like townspeople scattered around the room, and then off in the back corner, one dude with a sword over his shoulder, eating by himself. As you look in, everybody kind of looks up at you. And any chatter that was going on in the room just kind of hushes down as you guys walk in.
Well, walking in and sitting down at a table, not necessarily in the middle, but off to the side.
Okay.
You guys, what else you doing?
You guys gonna join?
oh,
All right, so the three of you sit down at the table. As they watch, as you guys sit down, the conversations pick back up at the low mutter level. And after a minute or two, the bartender behind the bar comes over to you guys and looks the three of you up and down and says, "What do you want? We have ale, beer on tap, and we've got a venison stew cooking in the back.
It sounds delightful. I would like some of both. Beer and stew.
Beer and stew. He looks at the other two.
Make that too.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
What, Courtney?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. He nods, looks at the group of you, and it says that'll be 1 silver total. Split it how you want. Be back. You can pay when I bring it out to you.
Fair. So
I'll
yeah,
cover this.
unobtrusively trying to listen to other stuff as we're just sitting there chilling.
All right. Roll a perception check. See what you can hear.
I don't hear shit. I rolled a 1.
All right. So the muttering is too quiet for your dragon ears to hear as you've got your hood up.
I'm gonna state that I'll buy this round of beers and their food. And then also listen for any plum.
Any noise?
Yeah.
Anything?
So this is perception.
Yes.
Got 11.
11. All right. So as you're attempting to listen in, you hear the mutterings at the tables. They're a little clearer to you than they are to Jareth, but not by a lot. The closest table has what appears to be a man and a woman sitting at it, and the two of them are talking in hushed tones. The general gist of what you're getting, though you're not hearing the conversation fully, is they're talking about moving out of the village, perhaps going to the other village up the valley. They don't want to be here anymore. As far as the other conversations in the room, it's still just distant mutters. You can't really hear anybody. If you guys are just going to be trying to listen in for a few minutes, after the few minutes pass, the bartender comes back out carrying a tray with 3 beers and 3 bowls of soup on them. He sets each of them down in front of you, and then from a bag at his waist, he pulls out 3 slices of the fairly large pieces of bread and sets them next to your bowls of stew and says, "These go with the stew. Hope you enjoy. Silver piece."
I'll pay that up front.
He takes it. He polishes it for a second, looks at the visage on the front, kind of frowns, and then bites it for a second. Goes, "All right, fair enough. You guys aren't from around here, I take it, right?"
No, we're not. And we might be looking for a place to stay the night, too, but I don't know of a place around here that might be willing to put up with us.
He looks at the group of you and he says, "Is it just the 3 of you?"
There's
No, there's +2.
I have a bunk room that could fit 6. If you want it, it will be 2 silver pieces a night. Unless you can find accommodations elsewhere in the town with one of these townsfolk, this is the only place in the village that would host anyone. The only other place might be the mayor's manor, but given that he recently passed and his son is... At that point, you hear somebody... a hand falls on the man's shoulder, and he goes, "I can talk about my own affairs, thank you." And the gentleman who's in the back corner with a sword on his back pushes the bartender gently aside, and he says, "If you would, go get..." He looks at the 3 of you. 4 shots of whiskey for me and these fine fellows here." And he proceeds to pull a chair up and sit down. What, Courtney?
I said I'm a lady.
You have a small mane, right?
Very small.
He looks at you and goes, "Apologies, ma'am. You have a mane, and I'm not used to your kind. I'm used to the females of your kind not having those. Apologies."
Trauma.
Ah. I am well acquainted with the term.
I just decided to not shave.
He rubs like the 3 days growth of beard he has on his own face, and he goes, I can relate. He smiles genuinely at the three of you when he says that. Go ahead.
So it sounds like that the mayor's son put his hand on the back of the barkeep, or is that this guy with the sword?
So the guy with the sword is the mayor's son. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So that answers a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't make that clear enough. So he looks at the three of you and he goes, welcome to the town of Barovia. I don't believe anybody's greeted you yet. My name is Ismark. I am the mayor's son. Well, I guess technically the mayor at this point. Might I ask what has brought you to our fine ramshackle village?
I'm not sure. What did bring us? Just exploring, I guess. Now I'm searching for some slight answers that I don't know if I want.
We have visions that have appeared in our head, and we have questions, and they have led us here. We've talked to a caravan, and they decided to provide means of transportation into the town here, and, well, we don't know where we're going to go next.
He nods and goes, fair enough. It sounds like you've been having a trying time lately.
Yeah, I found out that I've been here before, but smaller maybe? And I don't know when.
He chuckles and he goes, I haven't seen any kits of your kin come through here in ever, so I doubt that might have been it.
I don't think... I'm not 100% sure I was this me.
I say, sir, I'm sorry about your father passing, but was his passing of natural circumstances?
He snorts and kind of gives you a wry look, and he says, I don't know that there are any natural causes in Barovia that causes someone's passing. No, my father passed due to heart failure from being tormented, so to speak. The vampire has taken a liking to my sister and has attempted to break into our family home several times in the last several months, and the last time my father's heart gave out because he couldn't deal with the stress. He was not a young man, to be fair.
I like the idea of whiskey.
At about that point, that's when the bartender shows back up with the bottle and 4 glasses, and then proceeds to pop the cork out of the top and pour 4 shots for each of you. You see the exchange of coins from the mayor's son, Ismark, to the bartender, and then the bartender scoots off.
I want to do another history check.
Go for it.
17.
As you look at Ismark's face and the careworn lines of someone who has aged much faster than they should have, your memories flash back to a similar conversation with, you think, this man. Though you were much shorter, and the Dragonborn that was with you at this time was much more crass.
I think I've met you before.
He looks you up and down and goes, I can't say that I remember you.
I'm much smaller, for sure. And I was with a group with a different Dragonborn. And you looked different, younger, maybe?
He looks at you, kind of perplexed. He then looks at Jareth. He looks under your hood fully, Jareth, and sees that you're a dragonborn, and goes, I can't say that I've had the pleasure of meeting one of your kind before, so I, young lady, don't know what you might be remembering.
Maybe.
Strong fortitude on that guy to not jump up.
He looks at you and he lifts his shot glass to the three of you and says, "Welcome to Barovia," and then tosses it back. Alcohol is one of our few joys.
Enjoy a shot myself, then.
Then while you guys start eating, we're going to transition over to the other two. So, Zaria and Fiona, you guys start making your way up the small hill that the chapel sits on. This chapel looks old and worn. Though there has been whitewash attempts to made in the past, it's clear that it's been a while since the last attempt to whitewash the building. It seems to be entirely made out of wood. And when you open the doors, you enter immediately into the main chapel area of the building, with two doors on either side of the main entrance that seem to lead off to small rooms. But then it's just straight into the chapel and to the there are rows of pews that eventually end at a small stage where the dais is sitting with a rope hanging behind it to ring the chapel bell. Standing at the dais is a young woman with red hair, and she seems to be flipping through the book sitting up on the dais. There's no one else in the room as you walk in. She looks up as the two of you open the doors.
Hello.
She looks at the
Do
two
you
of
mind
you.
us entering?
She looks at you and says, "As long as you can enter of your own free will and volition."
Yeah, why? What? Right. Vampires. I walk in.
So both of you walk in. She continues to flip through the book and isn't really paying much attention to the two of you.
I walk up to her. I'm like, it's a rather empty town, isn't it? I'm not used to a chapel being this quiet.
She looks up at you and graces you with a small smile and says, "It's not really an empty town. There probably are about 300 people who live here. It's just most don't leave their homes unless they absolutely have to. And currently there's no need to go tend to the fields since most of that work was done this morning."
Okay. And they don't come hang out here? I guess home is safe.
She shrugs. A lot of people don't have faith in the old religion anymore. Sadly, things have been trying here.
Okay.
She looks at the two of you as it's clear that you're here in the chapel, and she says, "You're outsiders, clearly. I am Irina. What might your names be?"
I reach out my hand. The name's Fiona. Who did the
I'm
little
Zara.
dragonette go with?
Zara. Oh yeah, no, Talma.
Oh, Tommels. Okay.
Tommel.
And this is Tommel.
He kind of looks at her, gives her the side eye, and then goes, "Hi."
And why wouldn't they want to leave their houses?
She shrugs and she says, "Vampires can't cross the threshold unless they're invited." And it is
And
safest.
there's no other way to protect yourself?
Not usually. Few of us have talents with the arcane, and most feel that training with the sword is not going to do any good against a vampire anyway, so why bother? and it's difficult
Swords don't work on vampires?
it's difficult to get enough faith for someone to use the clerical and divine magic here in Barovia. And no, swords do work on vampires, but they're not super effective.
So is it okay, so theoretically, how close is it to the old poems about hawthorn and ash stakes?
Stakes work.
Or is it okay? Okay.
But staking a vampire usually immobilizes them. It doesn't actually kill them.
Okay. Good to know. There goes plan A.
Plan A?
Just never mind. I've just been scared out of my wits for the past day or so.
Fiona's a bit sleep deprived.
Sleep is for those who are not being swept up in something against their own will.
I take it you're relatively new to the Lands of the Mist, then?
Yeah.
I apologize for your misfortune.
You guys have managed to make a living, it seems.
Living
Can't be all bad.
is a rather strong word to use for what we do here.
Comforting.
I think it's my first day. I'm not quite sure. I keep getting conflicting messages.
She looks you up and down and says, What exactly do you mean?
Good question.
One of those days.
People keep saying I've been here before and stuff. I don't know.
Irina, what god do you worship? You
Sh-
do worship, yes?
yes, she nods.
I look at the book again and up at the chapel and back at her.
She smiles. I worship the Lord of the Morning. And
Could you
I assume
elaborate?
she looks at you and kind of cocks her head as if confused that you don't know what she's talking about. And she says, the Lord of the Morning, the Lord of the Dawn, he who brings light, also known as the Lightbringer. None of these titles ring a bell to you?
I mean, I'm sure people worship the god of the dawn somewhere in where we're from, probably. I'm going to assume that night is dangerous.
She nods. Yes, obviously.
Okay. Do you have any of the others of the pantheon?
She looks at you and says, there are many deities worshipped in the Lands of the Mists. Ezra is a common one.
Okay.
Helm, Torm, Omag, Denair. I've met people who worship all of these at one point or another.
Okay, cool.
They probably gonna worship the Lord of the Morning now.
Okay.
Oh,
Are those scriptures?
She nods.
Or
Yes. She motions you to. She steps back and motions you towards the book if you desire to read.
yeah, I go and look at the book. What does she have it open to?
The page she currently has it opened to is talking about some sort of prophecy or ritual, you're not really sure since it's starting in the middle of it, concerning light coming to the lands when those who shadow them are cast down. When their punishment's fulfilled, that those will be allowed to leave who are not from here.
My eyes widen and I go back a couple pages and start reading more thoroughly. Flip.
It talks about the Lord of the Morning being one of the overseers of the lands of the mist, and that his job is to provide hope to those who live there, that the punishments that are being enacted are not punishments on them, but punishments on those who rule over them. And that when those individuals are either cast down for their hubris or redeem themselves through their own efforts, that those who are tortured by them will eventually be released as well.
Okay. Interesting.
So while Fiona is doing that, is Zarya doing anything in particular, Bruno?
I don't think so. I got a little lost. My brain kind of zoned out.
That's okay.
So.
You guys are in the chapel. It's perfectly okay if Zarya wants to go sit in the pews and just, like, contemplate for a while.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a lot to take in for the past day.
Okay.
For her.
So she sits down, and as Fiona's continuing to go through the scriptures, Irina also sits rather heavily on one of the pews, and just kind of leans back and tries to seem to rest while Fiona's poring over the manuscripts, and Zarya is being contemplative.
I asked Tamal if he or any of his bloodline have come across this set of text before.
He looks at you. He does his pose again. Like, he jumps down onto the floor to do his pose safely so he doesn't fall off your shoulder. And then he after a second he blinks and then jumps, like, flaps back into your shoulder and whispers in your ear and goes, my ancestors who came to the Shadow Realm before describe something similar in the religions that they encountered here. This particular scripture is not something that I can bring up, but the Lord of the Morning and Ezra are religious figures that were encountered at the time. They seem to be the predominant, lawful, good deities of the realm, quote, unquote. I'm not entirely sure. The memories I have access to are old, and it seems like my ancestors weren't entirely sure what was going on with this either.
Interesting. Okay. So I point out the passage of the when the leaders cast down those who don't belong there are able to, the light comes back and they go free. I'm like, do you think this is our goal now?
He looks at it and kind of shrugs. I have no idea. Sure, why not?
The old matron said the mists don't let you go until the mists are ready to let you go, but if this means that the Lord of the Morning is part of the one who's over stuff, and this is one of the goals, this might be a new plan A.
So plan A is still the plan to kill the vampire? Is that what I'm hearing here?
I believe so, yeah.
He kind of, like, cocks his head at you, like, snakes his head around in front of you and is like, you know that it's a vampire, right? This sounds like a vampire lord at that.
I'm aware it's basically like challenging an archwizard, right? But then, like, less glass cannony.
I mean, who knows? He might be a wizard too. Like, vampire and archwizard are not exclusive things.
Wizard squared drinks blood. Okay, I get that, but this... Okay, plan B. Plan B. This is plan B, but we don't have a plan A.
I feel like plan A
plan
would be
A.
finding another compass thingy like what you were talking about and getting out of here.
I mean, that's a decent plan A. We need to find what goes back to Sunshine Realms, though, if we do that. I don't know. How do we even ask about that?
I have no idea. Again, this was not what I signed up for.
I'm aware, and I apologize. Okay. I flip the page and keep reading.
Okay. So this murmured hush conversation has been going on with these two while Zarya has been sitting on the pews. Brenna, if you have nothing that you want Zarya to do in this moment, we will switch back over to the other group.
That's fine.
Okay.
My brain is, for some reason, completely blanked.
That's okay. I mean, if we need to take a break for a few minutes, we can also do that.
Can we take a couple? I'm realizing 3 tiers of my enemies is not enough.
If you require more tears of your enemies, yes, we can take a break and everybody can go get water. Or refill whatever drink you happen to have been drinking.
I'm cool with that.
Alright,
Just so you know, I'm imaging this town in my head a lot like the Van Helsing movie.
very similar aesthetic, yes. That's pretty dead on.
Yeah.
Less
Awesome.
snow, though.
I'm very curious. I know you can't answer this question, but it's a question I have in my head. Well, at some point, will my character know their past life? That is a serious question. I know you can't answer that. That is like a very strong question.
Yeah, the DM chooses not to comment on future plot threads. So yeah, let's take a break for a minute, guys, and everybody go get a refill on whatever you need.
Kaka, Ricola.
I sense plotting.
No.
I'm eating frozen raspberries. There can be no plotting.
All right, no plotting, sure.
Bug us.
All right, well, are we ready to pick back up? We can also call it a night if everybody's feeling like calling it a night. That is okay.
It is also 8, so.
That's why I'm offering. We started at 5. We have done about 3 hours. We would go for at most another hour.
Where's everyone at?
I know I got some stuff there still I need to do tonight.
Okay. So one vote for ending sooner rather than later. Anybody else got an opinion?
I'm fine with whatever. We end sooner. We play a game.
For anyone who doesn't have other things to do.
Okay.
Cool. I would just need to put my raspberries back in the freezer. They're chocolate-covered raspberries. They're delicious.
So we've got to play for at least another 10 to 15, obviously.
If we want to end here, we can. Essentially, where we would be ending is you guys are at the bar with the eating your food. You have just been approached by Ismark, and the other 2 of you are at the chapel, and you're in the pews trying to contemplate or frantically reading scriptures. It's a pretty good place to end, all things considered.
Yeah.
So, if you'd like to end, we can end. That could be the night.
And
What?
you have a few more minutes?
In a few more minutes?
Did you have more things you wanted to do?
Yeah. there are any last character interactions people want to clear up before the end of the night, we can do that.
I have nothing at the moment.
Cool. Courtney?
I mean,
Colton, either of you got anything?
I could either pick mine up next time, or as long as like Ismark's still in the tavern as we pick up next time, etc.
Yeah, no, that's where we would be picking up. We'd be picking up where we left you guys, which is you just taken the shots. So we would be picking up right there.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Shayla has anything else she wants to jump onto, or were you trying to wait to see what I found out? Like, oh, she wanted to see what I found out. Because there was.
If everyone else is ready to switch games, that's okay.
I know it sucks that D&D's only once a week, and it takes so long to get to the next game.
Yeah. Oh well. At least we have like a minor plan for starting next week. That works. Okay.
Well, we made it out of the starting town. That's improvement.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we got a plot with everyone here.
Veronica.